Hello.
Hello, Kim. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. Welcome to Kim, everybody. Kim Wunner is the president and founder of Kim Wunner Consulting. She's a transformative business leader, business and leadership coach, guiding women to become the leaders they are. Last year, we partnered for a 3-hour Girls Who Print leadership workshop, and I think it's still going on. I'm not sure I don't think it ever ended, even though there was only, a certain amount of time for it. Kim is here to talk about a session that we titled, Can You Hear Me Now?
Yeah. Thank you for the introduction, Deborah. I loved everything you were saying before about really moving from this place of observation and network building and understanding and identifying, right, to into action, right? Asking like, really, what do we stand for, right? What do you stand for? What do I stand for? And really, how am I going to do that, right? That I'm going to take action and stand and be part of something bigger. And that's what we want to talk about today, right? How can can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Reminds me of those commercials. I think it was Sprint or Verizon or something, right? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Like that, but in a bigger, more amplified way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what this is all about. I mean, visibility. Can you hear me now? Like, what do we have to do? And this is really, I'm not trying to ask rhetorical questions here. I'm asking action questions, and I'm looking to my advocates and allies and accomplices to really help us understand how do we start with understanding that we have that power in ourselves to begin with.
That's right. We do have that power in ourselves. We may not have been taught the skills, or it hasn't really been framed this way. And if we're talking about where we are in the business place, the best way for us to change is, like you said, to groom ourselves, right? To rise up through the ranks, and to bring others with us, right? And that is visibility. So the research shows that the greatest way, the most advantageous way, and really the only way for women to get in those places, to be able to move, to get the promotions, to get into the places they want and forge the career paths and have the lives they want, is visibility, is being visible about the work you're doing, right? And how you're doing it and what you bring to the table, because no one knows and no one's looking, no one's watching, no one cares, right? Like everyone else around us is busy. Our bosses are busy. Our bosses' bosses are busy, right? So how's anyone going to know? And so we have to develop the skills really to market ourselves and what we're doing and the other people around us. And that's
Okay.
the great way.
Okay, so let's get into the how of that, please.
Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about being visible at work, right, there are two ways we can do that. And I want to break it out into two kind of separate areas. One, right, is your presence, like your executive presence, how you show up, how you conduct yourself, right, at work. And then the second is being able to market and advocate for yourself and the work you do. Make the work you do visible, right? Because this is what falls underneath that, is that most of us here can probably identify with, we are the go-to person, right, at work. We're the go-to person for doing all the things. Some of us, that means...
Hang on one second. If you are the go-to person at work, put in the chat right now, raise your hand, put, yes, that's me. We want to get some feedback from everybody. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, no, that's great. That means, yeah, I see Rebecca, yeah, Allison, are you managing people? Do you know where the things are? Do you know how to get things done? Do you get things done? Are you mentoring? Right? Having phone calls, right? Yep, look at so many of us. And that's because we're rock stars. That's because we can, right? Women are resourceful. We are organized. We know what needs to get done. We want to nurture and support the people around us as well as ourselves. We will put in the extra hours. We are very good at doing whatever we need to get it done, right? For ourselves and other people. Yep, I see Anne. Hi, Anne. About, yep, business development, marketing, all the things.
But it's one thing to know that you're going to get it done. It's another thing for there to be some sort of thing. Well, we'll just give it to Deborah. You know, she'll do it.
Right. Right. And then we start taking on the things because we're so good, right? And people see it, that things get done. They don't know how we're doing. They just know that when it lands on Deborah's plate, it gets done. Right. So they're just going to give it to you, not realizing you've got 45 other things to do. Right. And that
or not caring.
Or not caring. Right. They just care that it's going to get done. Right. And then we wind up exactly, Kelly, that's the word, right? Invisible work. We're doing invisible work, right? No one knows and sees what we're doing. And it doesn't matter, no one's going to know unless we bring visibility to it. So how do we do that? Right. So there are a few things we can do with that. So one is that when we have touch points with our bosses, do we tell them, are you sending a weekly summary of what you did that week? Right? That is a great way to start saying, this is what I've done, right? This is what I did this week. Just, this is where things are moving. And then you might even want to add to that. I got this great piece from, I don't know if anyone loves Mel Robbins. I'm a Mel Robbins fan. But she mentioned adding to that what I'm going to be working on next week, right? What my learning edge is, what problem am I going to be solving next week, so that you're thinking ahead and you're strategizing, and they see that, right? And then they start to see that, and there's accountability. So that's one, is, are you communicating with your superiors? Two is that we often walk out of meetings like, Deborah, what if we are in a meeting and we're in that and they say, oh, just hand it to Deborah, she can take it on, right? Okay. So then you ask, great, I'm happy to do that. Here are the 10 other things I'm working on. What is the strategic priority, right? How do you want me to rearrange it, so that you are able to, you're verbalizing, this is the long list of all the things I'm doing. And that's when you can mention the invisible work, right? That I'm mentoring this person, I'm taking care of this for this person, all that. How do you want me to proceed? Because oftentimes your superior does not know, nor do they care, that you're helping this other person over here, and so in this department, so in sales, and so in production, right?
Yes. And pushing this a little further, right? This is where I want to kind of get at.
Okay.
They're handing me that work. I'm looking at them and smiling. In my head, I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
How do I develop the tools to get that? Are you kidding me? Out of my head and into a productive, finding the confidence, having the confidence, believing that I have the right to speak up for myself without this fear that I'm going to be thought of as less than, or where are we in the process? Like, is there a meditation? Like, how does it happen? Kim, help us, please.
Well, Deborah, that's a mindset shift, right? So we need to recognize, right, that our career and our trajectory and our growth is most important to us. And it is about us in a bigger way, right, of changing the landscape, right, and being part of that. So many women, especially in print and in this leadership group that we do have keep going, almost every single woman in that group has identified that what they stand for is equality, is equity, right, in gender, in diversity, in race, right, in the print industry. They love the print industry, and that is what they are about, right? So we have to step into and be part of that bigger thing, right? And that is where our commitment is. And so you always come back to that North Star, that commitment. So that's first, is that mindset shift. Second is, you've got to look at yourself. If people keep piling on and say, just hand it to Deborah, just hand it to Deborah, right? And so I'm just going to keep using you as an example.
That's fine.
You aren't growing, you are not learning, you are not advancing, you are not doing the thing, right? You are not doing the thing you're aligned to. And so it is critical to your mission that you stay forward, that you stay focused and move forward, right? And when you get things piled on top of you, you're literally piled on top of you. You can't do that. And so the confidence to do it has to be a bold alignment to who you are and what you're about. And that's a mindset shift. And yes, we can do meditations on that. Yes, you can work with a coach. Yes, you can join a support group. right? You kind of do need community to help you do this because it is pretty radical, but you know you can do it, right? And we know that's what we're about, because exactly, courage breeds courage. Because when you're wondering in your head, what are they going to think? I don't want to piss someone off. I don't want them to think that I can't do this. Of course I can do this. I want to impress them. You're staying small. You're worried about what they think about you. If you can do the thing they want you to do to make their lives better, right? You're not coming from a you-centered place. You're coming from a them-centered place.
Right. And I just want to clarify, them could be anybody. Them is just somebody telling you to do something. It's not gender specific. This is about us just being like, I'm here and I have to advocate and become accomplice for my sanity.
That's exactly right. And so that actually goes back to the first part where I mentioned is like this personal branding, executive presence. So let's walk it through. Say you're in a conference room, you're in a meeting, right? And you're sitting in the middle of the conference room table because that's where you sit, right? Because you're a leader. And they say something comes up, blah, blah, blah project. Okay, Deborah, you could take care of that, right? And you're kind of excited about the opportunity and maybe you want to, maybe you don't, right? But you're in this big meeting. So you say, I'd be happy to. I'm working on, I've got, my plate is full. I've got 10 other things. I will talk to you offline and we'll see where it fits in the strategic priorities and what I need to do for this company. So the rest of the room is hearing you manage your time, is hearing that you prioritize the company and that you stand for the company, right? But that you're also setting boundaries. You're not going to, you're not going to kill yourself. You're not going to do other job. You're not going to do other work, right? So it's a great opportunity. So how do you find the courage to do that? It's deep breaths, it's being bold, it's speaking outside. I know every single woman has been in a point in their lives, personal or professional, where they have been able and challenged to do this, right? We can summons it, we can call on other experiences where you've walked in that space, right? It's doing things differently, but it really is protecting yourself and self-leadership of saying, no, right? I have a greater mission that I'm here for, and this is how I'm doing it.
It also goes back to visibility that there might be other women in the room, maybe entry women who just started a career and they're like, oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. That was a very professional example of how to say no, or how to say, I'll get back to you on that, and stand up for yourself.
That's exactly right. We want to be a shining example, right? For women who are coming up, or all the women, just all the women there, right? That we have boundaries, right? That we can advocate for ourselves. And look, I'm not saying like the first time you might not stumble. Like it is okay to do that. It doesn't matter. You will build the muscle, right? To do it, but you have to make the commitment to do it. And yes, other women will see you doing it. And they will identify you as a leader and they will develop that, right? It's like when you see that another woman, when you see a woman get a promotion or a VP role, or you see someone up on that stage talking, you look at that and you're like, oh, I can be there too. If I want to be, I can be there too. Right?
Yes, I know we spoke about this the other day. I've been having these crazy visibility conversations with people who don't, for some reason, don't connect that visibility is everything. Visibility is how you get bigger pay increases. Visibility is how you get, there's a new client. We're going to give it to Joe. We're going to give it to Jane. Well, who's the one who speaks up in meetings and is, well, I know what Joe's working on because he tells me every 5 minutes what he's working on. I don't know what Jane's doing. So let's just give it to Joe. It all matters, I think.
Right, which was another example I want to just touch on real before I want to get it in there is speaking, right? Speaking, being visible is you can be vocal, right? And so when you're in the meetings, you need to speak, right? So in that example of, oh, let's just give it to Deborah. And if Deborah was like, okay, she didn't speak. She said, okay. And no one knows what's really going on in her head, which is what the hell, how am I going to get this done?
Right.
No one knows that. And so in all the meetings that you are in, you have a job to be able to speak. You need to have an opinion. You need to offer your thoughts. Even if it's just piggyback, even if it's just saying, wow, Deborah, that was a really good point you made. It doesn't matter. Then they know, oh, Kelly was in the room and Kelly
Right.
said something. Kelly had an opinion, right?
Right.
It all matters.
Yes, you gave an example before of, there's the conference room meeting, and,
Mhm.
I have always been a fan of sitting as close as possible to the person in the room who's going to command that meeting. And then by virtue of peripheral vision or just proximity, you're in a seat of power. And if you interact in that meeting, somebody might walk in there and say, oh, I didn't realize she had that, she was that, and and it's visibility, it's strategic visibility,
It's
but
so
it's
strategic
visibility.
and so smart. Deborah, I love that. I have actually used that
Uh,
with other people, as that's a great one, right? You sit next. And another one with that is being able to comment, because often women are, we are dictating, like we're taking notes, right? We are for ourselves, maybe, or for, if it's our job, that's one thing, but we want to make sure we have everything that's happening. We have a lot of meetings, but when we're taking notes, we're focused down, right? We're focused on, we've got our pen or our computer and we're focused down. We're not talking, right? So you want to be able to interact. That's another point of visibility. You need to speak,
right.
right? And so I love that, like little, like strategic hack, if you will,
Yeah.
of sitting next to the person.
Right. Now, I know we said we weren't going to do Q&A, but there's actually a very relevant question in the chat right now about how does this get addressed when working remotely? I don't think it's really any different, other than you can't, dictate which Zoom box you're going to be in, but speak up, have something to say that does something. That would be what I would say. But answer that question and then let everybody know about the ongoing workshop and any other way that they can get in touch with you.
Yes.
This event is about to is for everyone to get a taste, get some inspiration, and then, follow on. So please.
Yes. So that's a great question about how do we do that, right? One is I want to know what the protocols are for your meetings. Cause like some, you use the little icon to raise your hand when you've got something to say. Some, everyone's talking over each other. So what's the culture? And let's make sure that's established, right? And if you don't know and it's fight for yourself, that's okay. But that's something you can elevate in your next meeting to your boss. Like, hey, how are we conducting ourselves? Like, what's the culture here? Second is exactly what you said, Deborah. It's no different. Like you still have to speak. If you see, like, watch, are people talking over each other? Then talk over. I've been in those meetings, especially as a woman, and when they've been all men, and I'm like, why is no one, literally I'm saying things and no one hears me. So I think I have to get louder. Okay, that's weird, but fine, I will. It's just important that you're heard. So it's no different. And again, if it seems like it's like the Wild West and there's no like protocol for that, that's a great thing to elevate. That's a great strategic thing to bring up about how we operate in our Zoom meetings. So there's that question, how people can get in touch with me. So my website is kimwunner.com. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, so we can be connected there. The women's leadership group, yes. So last fall, Deborah and I taught, well, I taught for the group. Deborah was.
I was just attending.
And we had a fantastic group. It was like 6 hours of strategy and skill building, more of these actual things you can take away, not so much of let's identify the problem. We know the problems. It's more like, how are we going to work on them? And then that group continues to meet monthly. And we work, we spend an hour doing our goals for the month, and we have accountability partners that we work hand in hand together with throughout the month. And then we spend an hour working on a skill. And then we also have a Facebook group where we're all checking in throughout the month and supporting each other and elevating. That's where we talked about this group. I see Leslie's on here, and some of the women from the group are in the call today. And so that's been beautiful for community building, for elevating. And we're going to continue that. You'll see links coming out shortly on the next round of that. But it's really been like wonderful for this group.
Well, I just want to thank you again so much for being an accomplice to our mission here, and for all the help that you give me. I mean, I am very fortunate that you found me, and Sarah, I believe I found Amy too, but the three of you really have had a very positive influence on me and have really been helping me. So just thank you so much, Kim. We put links to your LinkedIn, and Kelly did, and to your website. If you want to share a direct link to the Girls Who Print leadership, the workshop that you're doing, you can do that. But for right now, thank you again so much. Empower long and prosper. And let's bring up Amy.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.